You know that friend who's been on Instagram for years, but has never posted their face? Not once. They'll share a sunset, a coffee cup, maybe their dog's paw, but never themselves. And here's the strange part. This behavior predicts something very specific about how they see themselves, relationships, and even power. Most people misunderstand it completely. And that misunderstanding quietly shapes who feels powerful online and who slowly disappears. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the ghost in your own social media story, watching from the digital sidelines while everyone else performs their daily highlight reel. But here's what most people get wrong. One of these types looks confident from the outside, but is actually the most psychologically vulnerable. And another type seems withdrawn, but they're operating from a position of genuine strength. We'll get to that. The privacy guardian. Picture Sarah. She'll post about her weekend hiking trip, but crop herself out of every single photo. She shares her thoughts, experiences, recommendations, but her face remains classified information. This isn't shyness, it's power. The privacy guardian has an almost visceral understanding that once your image is online, it's no longer yours. It can be screenshot, shared, manipulated, weaponized. These people have developed what researchers call identity resilience. Their self-worth isn't tied to external validation. But here's what's interesting about privacy guardians. They often have the most intimate, meaningful relationships offline. They've learned something most of us haven't, that mystery creates connection, not exposure. When you meet them in person, there's this sense of discovering someone real. Of course, power can turn into armor, and armor can become distance if you never take it off. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you're more of a privacy guardian than you realized. But we're not done yet, because this next type thinks they're being strategic, but they're actually trapped. The perfectionist paradox. Marcus takes 47 photos of himself, analyzes each one, finds 17 different flaws, deletes them all. The perfectionist wants to post, desperately, but they're caught in an endless loop of not quite good enough. They see everyone else's filtered, edited highlight reel and think that's the baseline. They don't realize they're comparing their raw reality to everyone else's fiction. Here's the cruel irony. Perfectionists often have the most interesting perspectives to share, but they remain invisible because they're waiting for a version of themselves that doesn't exist. Over time, perfectionists don't just stop posting. They stop initiating, stop expressing desire, stop risking rejection. If you've ever spent 20 minutes trying to get the perfect selfie only to give up and post nothing, this is you. And this mindset doesn't just affect posting. It quietly shapes how you show up in every relationship. But there's something darker coming. The self-conscious soul. David loves seeing everyone else's photos, celebrates their moments, cheers them on. But when it comes to putting himself in the frame, his stomach drops. This is where it gets heavy. The self-conscious soul battles what psychologists call imaginary audience syndrome. They believe everyone is constantly watching and judging them. Posting a photo feels like stepping onto a stage where everyone in the audience is a critic. But here's what breaks my heart. Self-conscious souls are often the most empathetic people in your feed. Because they understand insecurity intimately, they're quick to support others. They notice when someone needs encouragement. Their pain makes them healers. Yet they're slowly disappearing from their own lives. They're so afraid of judgment that they deny themselves the basic human experience of being seen and celebrated. They've convinced themselves that invisibility is safety, but it's actually isolation. And here's the thing nobody talks about. This type is growing. Social media is creating more self-conscious souls every day. People who are paralyzed by the possibility of not being perfect enough for public consumption. And the tragedy is, this pattern can be unlearned, but only once it's named. If you've ever typed a caption, uploaded a photo, then immediately deleted it because you started imagining all the ways people might judge you, you're living in dangerous territory. Because this pattern doesn't stay online, it bleeds into everything. The authentic rebel. Then there's Zoe. She's on social media, she's active, she comments, but she refuses to participate in what she calls the performance. To Zoe, posting photos feels like feeding a system that's fundamentally broken. The authentic rebel has witnessed the darker side of social media culture. They've seen friends become addicted to validation. They've watched real relationships suffer because people are too busy documenting moments instead of living them. Their photo abstinence is protest. These people often score high on authenticity orientation. They need their actions to align with their values. They'd rather have one real conversation than 100 superficial likes. They're not against connection, they're against commodifying human experience. But authenticity comes with a cost. Authentic rebels are often misunderstood as distant, arrogant, or above it all. Here's what's fascinating. Authentic rebels often become the most trusted people in their social circles precisely because they refuse to perform. People sense their genuineness and gravitate toward it. The deeper truth. So, which type is actually the strongest? Which one is most at risk? Here's what nobody wants to admit. The self-conscious soul is in genuine psychological danger. They're not just avoiding photos, they're avoiding being fully alive. Their invisibility isn't a choice, it's a prison. The privacy guardian and authentic rebel, they're actually operating from strength. They've made conscious decisions based on their values. They're invisible by choice, not by fear. The perfectionist is stuck in the middle. Not quite free, not quite trapped, but slowly wearing themselves down with impossible standards. But here's the twist that changes everything. In a world that equates visibility with value, all of these types have maintained something profound, a sense of self that exists independent of external validation. The real question isn't why some people don't post photos. It's why we assume visibility means confidence, and invisibility means fear. Sometimes it's the opposite. Which type are you? And more importantly, are you invisible by choice or by fear? Because that difference determines everything.